Welcome once again to Commander by Danon. As we finish up this week of experimentation, we look to a deck that I thought would be better received, but a lot of people had some negative comments on. They felt that a Ral Monsoon Mage should focus around the commander and not just be another Izzet Spellslinger deck. Well, I am taking another shot at the deck with today's video. Also, and I know it's annoying to keep hearing this, but statistically if I don't ask you to like and subscribe, the video gets fewer subscribers. Ral Monsoon Mage is a 2-mana 1/3 legendary human wizard who lowers the mana costs of instants and sorceries we cast by 1. Additionally, whenever we cast an instant or sorcery during our turn, we flip a coin. If we lose the flip, Ral deals 1 damage to us. If we win the flip, we may exile Ral. If we do, we return him to the battlefield transformed under his owner's control. Transformed, he becomes Ral Leyline Prodigy, a planeswalker with 2 starting loyalty plus an additional loyalty for each instant and sorcery we've cast this turn. We may add a loyalty to make it so that instants and sorcery spells we cast cost 1 less to cast until our next turn. We may remove 2 loyalty to deal 2 damage divided as we choose between 1 or 2 targets, and draw a card if we control a blue permanent other than Ral. Finally, we may remove 8 loyalty to exile the top 8 cards of our library and cast instants and sorcery spells from among them this turn without paying their mana cost. Quick note about transforming creatures. When a creature transforms into another creature, it is not exiled. You'll remember from yesterday's video, Archangel Avacyn doesn't exile and then return. She just transforms. But Ral does exile. This is because he becomes a planeswalker, and part of the rules of planeswalkers is adding loyalty counters as they enter. So if Ral simply transformed, he would become a 0 loyalty planeswalker and die. Well, not Ral specifically because of how he transforms, but you get the point. The second thing I wanted to point out was this little circle next to the word legendary. Do you see how it's red and blue? This is to denote that Ral is an Izzet planeswalker, so this will be an Izzet deck. Now, I stated earlier that I wanted to build the deck around Ral. Honestly, I find the planeswalker side of Ral a little underwhelming. Knowing my luck, I would storm off, flip Ral, have him enter with 10 loyalty counters, activate his -8 ability, and flip over 7 lands and a counterspell. So instead, I decided to focus on his front side. This one little sentence right here. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell during your turn, flip a coin. That's right. This will be a coin flipping deck. We could all use a little chaos in our lives. Yes, I know it's the second coin flipping deck this week, what's your point? And like all other decks this week, this will be a $100 budget deck with some upgrade paths. This will be the last deck I do in this style for a while. I'll let the YouTube comments and the video performances speak for themselves. If people like this style of video, I'll make more of them in the future. But before we get to our deck list, a quick word from our sponsor, Ultimate Guard. Ultimate Guard is now the official partner of Wizards of the Coast, and as such, they are able to print official art on their deck boxes, like this Return to Earth Boulder featuring art from Bloomborough. Rather than featuring a specific card, this deck box is designed to look like Maha's Egg, as seen in Cruel Claw's Heist and Dawn's Truce. I love the deep-cut references from this piece. Pick yours up today at your local game store or order it on Amazon. Link down below. In order to build a functional commander deck, you need lots of different pieces, which is why I try to rely on my handy-dandy checklist. 50 mana sources, usually split between 37 lands and 13 pieces of ramp, 10 pieces of card advantage, 8 to 10 pieces of spot removal, 2 to 3 board wipes, 2 pieces of graveyard hate, and 1 sudden I win card. Oh, one more quick announcement before we get started. I'm currently streaming with my son over on Musings by Danon as well as Twitch. It'll mostly be Final Fantasy XIV, but you're more than welcome to pop in and talk about Commander. Honestly, about half my streams are talking about manga, anime, or Commander. Our land base consists of Command Tower, Exotic Orchard, Sulphur Falls, Volatile Fjord, Molten Tributary, Ferris Lake, Cascade Bluffs, Shivan Reef, Frostboil Snarl, Temple of Epiphany, Izzet Boiler Works, Scavenger Grounds, Myriad Landscape, Evolving Wilds, Terramorphic Expanse, 10 islands, and 10 mountains. A pretty well-rounded mana base. For upgrades, consider some fetch lands, steam vents, training center, storm-carved coast, and thundering falls. It will help improve your deck's performance, but there's a reason good lands cost more money. For mana ramp, we're running Tavern Scoundrel, Stormkiln Artist, Runaway Steamkin, Goblin Electromancer, Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, Talisman of Creativity, Izzet Signet, Sky Diamond, Fire Diamond, Mind Stone, Felwar Stone, Gilded Lotus, Solemn Simulacrum, and Descent into Avernus. A good mix of mana rocks and a variety of other mana producers. For upgrades, consider adding Ruby Medallion, Sapphire Medallion, Mana Geyser, Desperate Ritual, and Seething Song. Normally I try to make room for rituals in a deck like this, but they weren't in the budget this time. Our card advantage package consists of Yusri Fortune's Flame, Tribute Mage, Zindersplit Eye of Wisdom, Squeeze Revenge, Mutalith Vortex Beast, Niv Mizzet Perun, Archmage Emeritus, Frantic Search, Unexpected Windfall, Big Score, Deliberate, Impulse, Behold the Multiverse, Thirst for Discovery, Teferi's Ageless Insight, and Ethereal Usher. Why Ethereal Usher? To tutor for our win cons, of course. For upgrades, I'd recommend Windfall, Wheel of Misfortune, Jeska's Will, and Underworld Breach. All of them are great magic cards that can draw a ton of cards or win you the game. For interaction and spot removal, we've got Invert Polarity, Insult Injury, Lightning Bolt, Abrade, Vandal Blast, Counterspell, Arcane Denial, Negate, An Offer You Can't Refuse, Chaos Warp, and Capsize. A few counterspells and some spot removal. Nothing crazy, just enough to keep our opponents from winning out of nowhere. For upgrades, better counterspells like Mana Drain, Force of Will, Force of Negation, and Fierce Guardianship are all powerful but expensive. Additionally, Narset's Reversal is a phenomenal magic card that has won me games all by itself. Our board wipes consist of Aetherize, Evacuation, Whelming Wave, Consuming Tide, Washout, and Blasphemous Act. Yes, that's a lot of board wipes, but we're not a creature-heavy deck, so it shouldn't affect us as much as it will our opponents. Obviously, Cyclonic Rift would be great in a deck like this, but at almost $40, there's no way to fit it in the budget. The core of our deck consists of Krark the Thumbless, Stitch in Time, Ral Zarek, Rite of the Dragoncaller, Okan Eye of Chaos, Goblin Trap Runner, Fiery Gambit, Chance Encounter, Karplusan Minotaur, Molten Birth, Elemental Eruption, and Mizzet's Mastery. Supporting our plan, we've also got Krark's Thumb, Arcane Bombardment, Thousand Year Storm, and Veyron Voice of Duality. Lots of ways to combo off and win the game. Now that we have our deck list, let's compare it to our checklist. 50 mana sources split between 35 lands and 15 pieces of ramp. Right on target. 16 pieces of card advantage. 11 pieces of interaction. 6 board wipes. 1 piece of graveyard hate in Scavenger Grounds. 1 sudden I win card in Chance Encounter. Ral lets us flip a coin every time we cast a spell, so long as it's on our turn. So all we need to do to win the game with Chance Encounter is cast 10 spells. Assuming Stitch in Time is one of the spells we cast and we win the flip thanks to Krark's Thumb, we'll win the game on our next upkeep. Now, I mentioned earlier that I would explain Ethereal Usher and why it is considered a piece of card advantage. Tutors are a form of card advantage. No, I won't brook any argument on this. I have the advantage of finding a card that will help me win the game. Ergo, a tutor is card advantage. Ethereal Usher allows us to search for any card in the deck with the same mana value. In this case, 6. Let's take a look at the spells in our deck with 6 mana value. Niv-Mizzet Parun, Mutalith Vortex Beast, Arcane Bombardment, Rite of the Dragoncaller, Elemental Eruption, Insult Injury, and Thousand Year Storm. These are potentially game-ending cards. At least most of them are. So being able to tutor for one of these cards that helps us win the game is always something worth considering. Of course, not every deck will have this many cards of the same mana value, so transmute effects won't always be your best option. But they are worth keeping in mind. Now, I did want to mention that we could have built this deck with an absurd amount of cantrips and rituals. That way you could cast a huge amount of cards in order to trigger Ral as many times as possible, leading to coin flips every turn. But I didn't want to. I wanted to have more functionality in the deck than just coin flipping. A well-rounded deck, as it were. Do you have a Ral Monsoon Mage deck? What theme did you build the deck around? Leave a comment below. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, a huge shout out to my editor cutestuff. I couldn't make these videos without her. If you'd like to hire her to edit your own videos, she can be reached at cutestuff.edits@gmail.com. Link is down below. If you're looking for ways to support the channel directly, you can head on over to patreon.com/Danon. You can have a video made or just ask for help building or tuning a deck list. I also wanted to give a quick shout out to all of my patrons: Waffles, Jiraiya, Muffins, Marcus, Brett, Roxy, Alix, Borgie, Nazwin, Conga, Aaron, Chris, Robert, William Pye, Kazaris, Booksu, Patrick, Naffy, Noodle, Tiz, Art, Richard, Devin, and Lucius. You guys are awesome. I post new Commander Deck videos every weekday, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified of new videos. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all again next time on Commander by Danon.